Marty, still thinking he's in 1985, drives to his house but sees that at this point in time it's just a model home surrounded by fields. In the movie there wasn't even a house there, and while both versions, empty field versus empty field with single house in it, are pretty great images, I've seriously put some thought into, and I believe the movie's version is slightly stronger as the shot has a simpler premise and show how Marty is more detached and a stranger in this time. Anyway.
It was sitting out in the middle of nowhere and looked newer than Marty had ever seen it, but it was definitely the identical structure. The pieces of the puzzle slowly formed themselves into a cohesive picture.
Finally, Marty's figuring it out. We go inside Marty's head for a bit as he observes.
In front of his house was a sign that read Model Home. Pennants flapped limply in the soft night breeze.
There is a large sign showing
an idyllic home nestled between magnificent oak trees with a typical American family of four standing next to a Cadillac.
The Cadillac is
a very old shiny Cadillac.
Beneath the picture in huge block letters are the words,
"Live and the home of tomorrow. Today. Lioness States. Scheduled completion, this winter."
And what does this all add up to? Well, I think that's pretty obvious. Marty's finally going to conclude that he's in the past, right? Nope.
"It's my house, only brand new," Marty whispered.
Yes. All of this build-up was just so Marty could look at his house, notice it's brand new, and draw the startling conclusion that he's looking at his house, only it's brand new. Most of the page is spent on Marty puzzling out this non-puzzle, and it's only when he happens to glance at the DeLorean dashboard and see a part of the machine whose sole purpose in life is to tell him the current time and date does he finally see both destination time and current time readouts saying 11/5/1955 and realize he's in the past.
1955. He shouted. "I can't believe it."
I feel like we should end on a joke here, but it's too sad. Marty is touched in the head. Marty, I want to help, but you need to tell me what happened to you. Pages 77-79. Marty notices the plutonium chamber is empty but realizes that doesn't mean he still can't drive around. It simply meant dash.
"Good God," he said. "What does that mean? That I won't be able to get back?"
Okay, role-play time again. You've been sent to the past and you've realized you're trapped there unless you can get some plutonium. What do? Do you back up into a model home's driveway and chill out and turn on the radio? Well, role-play time is over because if you're book Marty you back up into a model home's driveway and chill out and turn on the radio.
Although it was nearly morning, there were still a few stations on the air, but they were all playing absolutely terrible music. One featured someone named Eddie Fisher singing the songs of Jerome Kern, another played numbers by Mitch Miller's orchestra and a bland singer named Guy Mitchell, and the announcers were also tired-sounding. "Is this what it was like?" Marty says to himself, grimacing, and turns the dial to a newscast. President Eisenhower predicted that 1955 would see an increase in housing starts, the man intoned. "Eisenhower?" Marty repeated. "Yeah, sure. We studied him in history. A nice enough guy who didn't do much except give Nixon his chance."
For those of you just joining us here in the 8th paragraph, the first person ever to go back in time has arrived in the past, and is spending his time sitting in a parked car, alone, sarcastically talking back to a radio. Back to the future, ladies and gentlemen. Marty listens to more news and decides it sounds a lot like the news of today, trouble in the Middle East, then listens to sports.
In college football, quarterback John Brody of Stanford continued to lead.
And Marty thinks,
the same middle-aged gentleman who occasionally turned up as a color man on football broadcasts.
And is this a joke about the dude's career, or just Marty recognizing someone? I'm afraid I do not know enough about color men on football broadcasts. Marty listens some more.
UCLA's ace placer kicker Jim Decker.
And Marty thinks.
Jim who?
Aside, Futurepedia's page for Jim Decker is amazing. First it says he kicked the winning field goal in the Washington-UCLA game on November 12, and then it says behind the scenes, in real life, Jim Decker did indeed kick the winning field goal for the team against Washington on November 12. Now you know.
Texas Christian's sensational quarterback Jim Swink.
And Marty thinks.
Swink? Is he kidding?
And I guess. In any case, Marty's enjoying making fun of the radio so much that he turns up the volume,
leans back against the DeLorean's plush interior,
and decides.
He rather enjoyed this trip through his own personal time tunnel.
He listens to entertainment news and laughs at how cheap Fords are to buy in 1955 when suddenly a cop car drives by, so he kills the lights and radio because,
even forgetting the fact that he had just arrived from a different time period, he would have enormous difficulty explaining the DeLorean, plus he did not have the necessary registration papers for it or a 1955 driver's license. He wondered what the officers would say if he showed them his 1985 license.
Probably similar to what he would say if he caught a dog driving a car in 1985. Marty, your hypotheticals are so wacky. Finally Marty decides to stash the car in his garage, unlocks the garage door with his future key. It still works.
I was beginning to think this wasn't my day, Marty thinks.
Then drives the car inside and walks into town. That's it for Chapter 4, Friends and Neighbors. I'd like to say I promise this book gets good soon, but